being a business owner from just me, a brush, a dream, this is going to happen to two locations, SBA Owner of the Year, coolest pet place in America. Seeing that evolve, all the steps by just being authentic and doing right and reaching out in the community, it came to me full circle.
Everyone, welcome to another episode of The Pursuit with Dr. Pat. I'm excited for this one because this is a story of, especially from COVID, how dislocations in the world, and I think with AI now, that could potentially create a dislocation. And I know we're all probably tired of hearing about AI. We have on today, she has really built something that I think that we all love near and dear to our hearts, and I'll let her get into it. But also, what is she doing now on the side that is really has her passion in her heart, and really explaining what that next chapter may be as we all transition to that next chapter in our lives. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mrs. Jessica Cooke.
Hi, thank you so much for having me
Welcome,
today.
Jessica.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have so much to get into. I'm excited just to kind of go through just a little bit, and we won't make you blush too much, but just so people know who you are, you're down in the St. Louis area, right? 22 years building Yuppy Puppy Pet Spa, and it's now one of the most celebrated pet care brands in America. Earned coolest pet place in America, which is phenomenal. A champion for children awards, which I love, and actually the Small Business Association Small Business Owner of the Year. As I say this, it's not really about just building a business, Jessica. It's about building places where kind of compassion leads, empathy, healing happens, and really where the second chances become possible, right? As each guest gets the question, the pursuit, or the podcast is called The Pursuit for a reason, like what we are pursuing. Jessica, May 21st, 2026, what are we in pursuit of today?
I love that question. My pursuit always is to pursue what God is leading me to do and really listening to that. And sometimes the pursuit that I personally might think I'm on leads me down to another pursuit that was the path all along. Just by I might feel like I'm on something and going forward, and then by listening to other things that are coming my way, I'm down another path. Really always working on being the best type of kind of woman, authentic, genuine that I can be. And I believe that providing, like you said, compassion in this world goes a long way with you never know how you're going to affect somebody else's life. And I see that now more than ever with my nonprofit rescue by listening to the voiceless and making a difference. And it has taught me compassion and grace and all about those second chances.
Yeah, and it connects with me too, because I think that through line is, and it's okay. Like my higher power is God, and I always call like my Jesus is next to me all day with a backwards bun on some sandals, and saying, "Hey Pat, you got a responsibility today, right?" I guess I would love for you to walk us through a little bit of why the non-for-profit kind of came to fruition by you, and why that's such a passion project and what it was born out of.
Yeah. So I've always been my whole life more I'll be the little girl alone with the animals. I've always
Mm.
connected in nature, animals, and bringing home everything I could. And so I soon
Were you bringing home the raccoons and the
yeah,
squirrels and
any animal that needed my help, I was
that's
there.
Jessica, honey, that is a vermin. We do not want that in the house.
So when I started Yuppy Puppy, the business 23 years ago, I really think that all those years ago put me on the path to do the work that I'm doing now and pursuing in the future. Because while, yes, that was my career, creating this holistic approach to pet care, it just continued to grow and grow and grow. And that was something that and I didn't actually seek out to be a business owner. It came to my it just happened. I was working for all these other companies and just seeing that there was a need and I could do it better and listening to clients. And so I took that leap, and it was actually so all along we would hear clients that would come in, and the owners maybe passed away and family members knew that their dogs came to us, and they would say, we can't keep the dog for one reason or another. It doesn't get along. So can you help us? So I was doing that all those years, unintentionally becoming a rescue, vetting them out, finding them homes, and then became really connected with rescues in the community. And then the more I started diving into it, Missouri is 14 years a row for puppy mills, and just the strays and the amount of dogs in need right here in the hometown.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. And so it was, so we'll go back. So COVID, as every place was shut down, and
Yeah.
people who work with dogs, they they have to have a purpose. They have to help. They're all helpers. They connect more with animals. And so when those animals were not coming in for the business, I began to see mental health really it was declining in
Yes.
my staff members. We were in the process of actually getting our 501c3, and we went to the local shelter and we took all the dogs out of that shelter and put them in our facility, and it gave the staff a purpose. And it by helping, we had the room, we had the resources to keep that going. And that's how we started, and then we became our own nonprofit, and now we're almost up to 3,000 dogs we've successfully
What? You have
retouched.
three is it all dogs, or do you have some other animals, or is it
We
mostly
do
dogs?
all dogs.
All
Yeah.
dogs?
Yeah.
All dogs. What I guess I'm really curious about this because I love dogs, and I don't know, I don't think you know this, but it was weird. I was diagnosed with PTSD at 24, 25, and I was an athlete my whole life. I didn't know what the panic attacks were. It was basically my I don't want to get too far down that trough, but my amygdala was overfiring, and you would cope in not the healthiest ways, basically, right? One of the practitioners that I went to, I probably went to 50 just because I was so eager to understand that they were talking about a service dog. Uh, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, I love dogs. And I didn't realize that growing up and having a dog next to me was so therapeutic. Is that kind of what you found as well? Again, when you were talking about COVID and mental health?
Abs- Absolutely. There's definitely, yes, us who deal with dogs and seek out that nonverbal cue from an animal, it really grounds you. There's something about unconditional love. They won't Dogs can heal a lot of past trauma from never they don't give up on you, and you don't want to fail them. So hand in hand.
Yeah, I love it from the standpoint of just it's another being that you know that unconditional love is there. What, 23 years ago? What Tell us how that started and where were you before you pivoted into being a business owner? I don't think I ever wanted to be a business owner. I love being part of a team, but then all of a sudden you're like, I guess I put myself in this boat. Let's go.
Yeah. So that's totally my situation. I never wanted to be a business owner because my grandparents were business owners, and I had other business owners in the family, and I seen how hard that business owners work. No one's going to love your business the way that you do, right? And you're working 80 hours for yourself versus 40 hours for somebody else, and it's a lot. There's a lot of good that comes with being a business owner, but that was something that never had appealed to me. So I grew up very, I don't want to say poor, but with lesser things. And again, that kind of went back to dogs were my best friend. We lived at a dead end street, and I had dogs as my friends. And so at 14 years old, if I wanted something in life, if I wanted to get my nails done or some new clothes or anything, so I had to work for that. And I got a job that I could walk to bathing dogs. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Remember?
I didn't even know that that existed. And I
Yeah.
was like a sponge. I was like, teach me more. I want to do anything. I was coming in on my days off, and within a year or two, then I was the ladies had taught me how to groom, and there was points where I was skipping school because I was making money and all,
Yeah.
and but wanting to kind of break that generational switch, what do? I'm like, oh, I have to go to college. That's what I have to do, even though my passion and calling I could clearly see was being with the dogs. So I went to a business school and became an IT recruiter. And within 3 months, I went to a local business and applied on.
Peace.
Yeah,
Peace.
this is horrible. This is
Yeah.
not. I was miserable, and I soon realized that. So then again, I went to. I got hired on immediately and was just working my way up in the company, helping them opening new locations. And at that time, I was married, had a toddler, had my daughter who was 3 months old. I had just come back from maternity leave, and it was holiday time, which is big time for pet industry. And the daycare called and said that they think she needs to go to the hospital. They're going to take her there. She's having a
Oh,
time breathing. So I called my supervisor, and I'm like, I need to leave. And his response was, can't, this is busy time. Can your husband go? Can you send a grandma? Can you do this? Being such a good employee, faithful, I did that, and no one could go. And I started to reflect and get emotional. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a great worker. I give my all. I will be right back. If I have to go to my daughter. When she did have RSVP, she did have to be RSV. She did have to go into the hospital. I went back later that night and they wrote me up. And that set my soul on fire to it just hit with no matter what I do, they're always going to make me choose between my family and my job. And so within later that year, Yuppy Puppy was born. And that was
yeah.
the best thing I've ever done. And now she's
I,
23 years old.
I love it because it's we say it in our houses. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Nope. No, no. And as you can imagine, like all of the different ways of being with Jill and what she finds out in her career or with something that comes in my career, I'm like, nah, that ain't happening. That's not happening. So you do have a sense of agency of now you're like, hey, I can go do what is my purpose, but it's also not an easy step. What so as you pivoted to that, did you go back to where you first worked as kind of like, I don't want to say a soft landing, but as a stepping stone? Or did you just say, hey, I'm going to take everything I've learned from what I've done and then I want to create it how I want to create it?
That's exactly what I did. I wanted a fresh start. I had all these ideas in my head, and just by listening to what I personally would want, what clients would want. So we were the first w- pet spa in our area. Got a write up. Now this is
It's
2003,
just
so it was newspaper, and
2001, 2000 what?
2003. So
Yeah.
everybody came out, and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch did a huge story, and all this media coming by because they had never heard of what a pet spa is. And it was like a human spa. It was very
That's
appealing.
what, so yeah, that's I guess that's where I want to kind of pause because this is where I think I would love it, right? So I had a black lab Bentley and a little black lab Finn. So okay, so I call you guys up because I want you to walk me through it because I'd be like, okay, I want I think my dog needs a break. We need to get him some love. So I'd be like, hey Jessica, if I take him to Yuppy Puppy, Bentley's a little bit bigger lab. What would it go through? What would Bentley's day look like?
Yeah. So we have all, so in our, we're set up very, so I personally have 7 dogs, and we are set up as how can we make that day for Bentley, for Bella, for everyone? It looks different. Services are the same, but they're catered to each dog's needs. And by that, because I was finding out there was some dogs that maybe 7 years old, rescue, never been to get a bath or anything. How can we take a step back, have them create a way of life for them instead of something that is traumatic? So yeah, everything from just full service grooming, bathing, nails, ears, to now we have the whole hotel stay. So we're staying
What
4 hours a day.
else?
So yeah, we have a hotel and doggy daycare, but I really wanted to stress on, just because you have the 13-year-old diabetic dog and you want to go on a cruise, life's going to happen. And it really started coming full circle with rescue, because there are people out there that will say, well, I want to travel now, and now my dog's old. I just want to surrender my dog. So by finding solutions,
You have people that literally say, I want to surrender my dog.
you name it, I've heard it. You name
Oh,
it, heard it.
I
And so by educated, for instance, we had, this is one of the best stories ever, and she just passed away. She became a client for life. She came in about 2005, and she adopted a husky, or I think she purchased a husky, and the husky had eaten everything in her house. And she said, I need, what do you do here? She thought we were a shelter. She's like, I just want to get rid of my dog. And so educating people on, maybe your dog needs some training. Let's see how that works. Maybe why
mhm.
is your dog doing that? Let's sign him up for doggy daycare. Let's do some things. She literally has, she just passed away. I think she was 14 years old, and she thanked us because you showed me a different path versus giving up, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. She's the best thing that happened to me. But she was at a loss, and instead of somebody, we could have been like, this lady's crazy, or really, what are you doing? Instead, we offered solutions, and that dog lived a long, happy life and was the best thing ever.
What's the dog's name? Or
Storm.
what is
Yeah.
it?
Storm.
Storm, yeah. I think that's apropos, right? I guess I didn't even, yeah, this is why I love having you on because I wouldn't even have thought of that, right? They're at like a wit's end, right? But then all of a sudden, hey, this is what could be possible. Let's just try this route. I didn't know that it was being a novice. It's like almost like an educational path. I know we talked offline a little bit about education first. I won't go down that road, but it's great to really understand what the client's pain points are and then be like, okay, this is what I would do if it was my dog, if Storm was my dog.
They do.
Um,
Most people want to do the right thing, but with resources and not knowing, just by being that voice for them and giving them options and solutions.
did that kind of dovetail into any type of educational pieces that you would send out or have, hey, this is what Yuppie Puppy may do for if you're experiencing this situation? Because I'm sure that's probably a natural
Yeah.
way, right?
Now we have a full training department that works
Yeah.
side by side with the rescue. And we do free evaluations, and just come in and talk. Let's see if this is something we can work through. These are the solutions. And if people really want to try to find that solution, sometimes it's just people don't sorry, my eye is watering. They just don't understand the dog's language, and we're here to help them understand the dog's language.
Explain that, because I'm super curious because I I love Jill. She's the love of my life, and I'm like a stepdad, but like kind of padre.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the microphone kind of cut out there a little bit, but how old? How I shouldn't say how old. How mature can a dog be and still learn? And maybe because I don't quite understand his language.
Yeah.
I can look it up and deduce it, but how do we learn that language? And then how old can a dog really sincerely learn new tricks with no pun intended?
What I was gonna say is, are you asking if an
Yeah,
old dog can learn
yeah,
new tricks? Absolutely.
exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely. We see it all the time because sometimes with our older dogs that come in to rescue, they don't come with a driver's license and a resume. We don't know their name. We don't know what situation they were in. So
Yeah.
by learning, it's a lot of nonverbal cues and really being present
Mm.
with the environment, everything down to sight, sounds, smells just by learning those sequences with the dog, we don't know their name, and soon whatever we name them. We had an older dog come in, we named him Pretzel. Within 3 months, he's coming to Pretzel. How did he learn that new trick? It's through visual and cues and verbal and, of course, snacks through their stomach, and then
Yeah.
using
Oh yeah. Yeah.
all those rewards, so absolutely.
Yeah. I we may have to have a might have to hire you for a consultation for Duker. So as we kind of pivot there, so that it sounds like you've won awards, you've built an unbelievably incredible brand. Before we kind of pivot to the not-for-profit, I'd love to understand what part of the journey meant the most to you.
Wow, there's so much because it's a
I
20
yeah.
journey. It really became being a business owner from just me, a brush, a dream, this is gonna happen, to 2 locations, SBA Owner of the Year, coolest pet place in America. Seeing that evolve, all the steps by just being authentic and doing right and reaching out in the community, it came to me full circle. It just the more it seems that I try to just be authentic and do good and have God use me, it comes back to my business. So by by starting with that as a scary thing, starting off with me and a brush and a dream to what it is today, empowering women, because now because of my past, we most of I think 90% of pet industry professionals are women. So I
Really?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
I really want them to have that life balance. We all, if it's important for them to get their kid on the bus at 9 o'clock, maybe you come in at 10 and you're doing that shift. Just pivoting and working around that home life and what is important to them really helps them be such a better employee and want to give their all to the clients, the guests, and me.
Can we copy you, please? Can we copy you? It's I think a lot of people say the whole new term of work-life balance. It's a whole other thing for the CEO, the business owner, the leader to say, no, no, no. What's your personal schedule? Jimmy or Johnny or Joan on the bus at this time, coming at 10. And what is it like leading from the front and having that servant leadership there?
So I still love what I do every day. I'm still there. And I think by showing up every day, they know I'm the owner. They know I'm the boss, but they will see me down the hallway wiping down walls if needed and emptying trash cans. There's nothing I don't do because I'm asking somebody else to do it and it's my business and I take joy in that. And I love that and we're the clients too. We're on maybe fourth, fifth generation dog that they've had
Yeah,
come
I was about to say, yeah.
to us. And I love teaching I still teach maybe girls who don't know what path they're going to go down and they
Mm.
love animals. So I train the new up and coming groomers just like I was all those years ago. So that full circle, giving them a tool and a career and a trade that they can take anywhere with them, whether it's working for me or moving and going to a new company. We cheer them on because I gave them those life skills.
You could that skill set can permeate any industry. I love that, and I didn't expect that. It but I'm not surprised. Where do you think that I think a lot of people know who know me is part of my dissertations is on the standards of excellence of habits. And that came from my mom. So we were raised lower middle class and we didn't want for anything. Again, food, clothing, shelter we had, but we didn't have the extras and that's okay. But where do you think that came from? Because I don't know how much of that's innate and how much of that's learned.
I think it also came from my upbringing being the lower middle class that I seen how hard my mom and dad worked. And it's funny looking back because at that time growing up, I didn't know we went without a lot because my home
Mm.
life was happy and full of love. And like you said, the basics were all met: food, shelter, clothing. But we didn't have all those extras. And I just seeing them, it's funny how when you become an adult and a mom yourself, then you're like, how did she do that all? She was
Oh,
working a full-time job. My dad was working full-time job, trying to get dinner on the table. I seen the quiet struggles of money. And so just by no matter what you have, being proud of it and filling it with love and just being content with what you have, but they're always striving to do better. And just that really instilled the work ethic. Failure wasn't an option for them. And that really just has always been instilled in me.
no, what do you think? Like, kind of pivot in here for a second. I won't give away your age, but I'm 45 and we are of similar age, but you, you have way less wrinkles than I do. Okay. What, where do you think that's gone? Have you seen it in I don't want to say your employees, but have you seen it change? And I'm really interested in I'm curious of why you think it's changed. It seems like our generation has a little bit of that old school, but
Yeah.
still a little bit of that new school.
Yes.
And I'm not going to be the person like, oh, we walked 4 miles in the snow. No, my school is across the street. I didn't have that. But I think as we get in here into this next frontier of whatever this next iteration of what the business world looks like and true human connection or even animal connection, what have you seen in your like I always do it by decades. Do you see a big difference as a business owner is hiring these people?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. I call it the grit factor. So,
Ah, okay. Okay. All right. So I love it. I take notes. So the
yes,
grit factor's going in my library finally, Jessica.
it's definitely even I think so I'm a big believer too in the cards you're dealt doesn't mean it's how you play the hand, right? So if somebody I
Are
tr
you a poker player? Are you?
a
Are you a
little
poker
bit,
player?
little bit.
Right. Yeah.
And just sometimes through definitely through interviewing, and we do some working interviews, you can see how if someone isn't at like me, if something's on the floor, trash, the trash can's right there, I'm picking it up, I'm putting it in there. That's just anywhere I go. And anybody who does that during an interview, I didn't have to tell them. That means I'm not going to have to tell them on other things either. It's just naturally ingrained to do the right thing. And it's that missing grit factor that yes, you can train, yes, people can learn all the AI, they can do the policies, but it's that extra little unspoken thing that makes people shine out.
Yeah. Yeah. I love hearing your perspective and thank you so much for that because it is those things and it takes a lot of pride. It's like your house, right? Now, I'm not going to show you the coffee mugs in my office and stuff like that, but it is, I love it from a standpoint of, I come back to the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Like you and me broke up. It sounds like we both grew up in a very similar household. Now, by all standards, some may see, oh, that wasn't a success. I'm like, man, I had the best childhood ever. It
Yeah,
was like come home when the street lights are on, but it was the
exactly.
art of fulfillment. Now, my mom would be working 12 hours as a nurse. She'd come home and you better have your, you know what together. But she'd also be like, hey, it was a tough day. I apologize if I raised my voice. Let's spend some time, whatever. And it was always a sense of, I don't know how moms do it.
Yeah.
That's why 90% of my clients are women. And that's why this podcast is around the empowerment and just how powerful women like you are and Jill, my better half. And it's just like, how do you do it? And now you're also being leaders in the business community, which not now, but maybe in previous generations or decades would be counterintuitive. So how are you holding like you are the CEO, you're the matriarch of the family, you're the you're the mom to three beautiful kids, right? And the wife sounds like a really great guy. So how much more on your plate are you carrying as a business owner? And how are you, I hate to say juggling, how are you able to keep that with your and I could tell you just by knowing you for a little bit that your standards of excellence are so much higher than the average person's standards.
So I definitely, there's a lot. You definitely, I journal, I meditate, I pray, but it's the little things that I think if you recognize every day is a blessing, just to wake up, have the opportunity, whether you're going to fail that day or have a win, it's all about how you handle that, take that lesson. So really starting my day with just thanking for waking up. Let's see what today has in store. Let's give it our all. Let's make connections. Let's be compassionate and let's do it. And then yeah, so I'm human. So there you're definitely sometimes I I need
No, we're all, yeah, we're all human, right?
we're all human.
This is just for men. I'm super gray, so we're all human.
Yeah. But reflecting definitely. I take everything now as a lesson. And if I sometimes you have to take a step back and maybe it's not the right time, but I'm going to continue to do this, but I need to take a step back right now and really just yeah, just being present, I would say, has really like right now I'm sitting barefoot, grounded just so I
I,
could
I'm
take the most
I would show this without embarrassment. I have, like I was telling you, I'm about to go run right after this, so I was like, I gotta get this in. So yes, it's. I think that's actually it's so much more endearing because it's like that's the way it should be. There's no I got to go wear some whatever the normal way is. There is no normal way. It's the normal way what works for you.
yeah.
So I so appreciate that. And as that business is so successful, and I'm sure it's like an identity level type business. That's been in your identity for 23 years.
Yeah.
And not only has it been able to provide for your family, provide for you spiritually, it sounds like God is at the center of your life, which I love and I respect. What so now though, it seems that we may be pivoting towards the rescuing part, right? So as you transition to this phase of your life, how do you want that to replicate what you've built through Yuppie Puppy, or do you want that to be exponentially different?
So I think it's been a growing process. Everything that the business has done has made the rescue nonprofit an excellent resource in what it has done on the outcome of I basically run the nonprofit as it is a business, not in the sense like financially, but as far as there's policies, there's procedures, there's all those things, there's a set place, there's responsibility because you don't, as a rescue, it would be hard. There's so many requests that come in daily. My email right now probably has 50 dogs wanting to come into the rescue. And as much as my heart wants to say yes, I want to do right by when I do say yes. So with each yes comes financial responsibility, emotional how can we do right by this dog? So if it can't just be I'm going to take all the dogs and save them. So by having that business mindset carried over to the nonprofit, I feel like it's being very successful and doing more good with that mindset. And so yeah, my goal would be I really want to create a place where they don't run out of time. There's no time limit. It's more of a sanctuary, and it's also our dogs and our rescue are so comfortable because they're treated like guests with enrichment and day-to-day interaction. So we might take on a dog that was shutting down in a traditional shelter just because they didn't have the resources. Maybe this dog needs more of an outlet, needs some training, needs some more emotional healing, and creating that in as the rescue.
Yeah, I heard some really interesting comments that you made in there about, hey, the I call it the empath tax, right? I'm a natural empath from my mother, and I'm literally sitting on the bathroom floor just talking to Jill as she was putting her makeup on this morning, and we were talking about that. It's a term that I just heard yesterday. That's the only reason I'm saying it. And it's you want to take. You're like, no, I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm good, and I got you. I'll take care of you, right? I got. Just bring it in. I got you. I got big shoulders. I'll carry you. But then all of a sudden, your business brain comes in, and you're like, okay, there's operations. Okay, well, how are we going to feed the dog? Then do I have to hire more staff to do that? And that I see that being potentially, and that's why I love you to answer this question. Is that is the not-for-profit looking for state grants to do it now? Are they getting funded from there? Is there anything that our Give Back Foundation can help that with you guys? What does that look like?
Yeah, so our goal is to purchase land and do an offsite location that's just for the rescue because currently it works out good, but the business funds most of the rescue, the housing, but we
Mm,
are limited on what we can do. So looking for grants and donors, also medical care. Each dog we say yes to, you're looking
yes.
at about $1,000 just to basic care. That's spay, neuter, vaccines, all those things. There's great resources for supplies, but the natural human responses, they want to drop off food, they want to drop off supplies, but where most rescues or nonprofits need the help most is money for that vet care and funding and all of the other things that come with it. So that is the goal for sure. And there's just such a need here in Missouri. And
Why do you see that? Is it just because it's like that it's nice, it's the Bible Belt, more families they're more likely to have pets rather than being in the city? I'm not quite sure. Why do you think that
so
is?
I think I we have a ton of commercial breeders, and Missouri is one of the only states left that also has still pet stores where you can walk in and purchase a dog. And so
Are
when
you just completely against that?
yes, for that reason. I'm not against breeders, but the pet stores, you're looking at it like a product. So a lot of people will go in there and purchase the dog because they think they're saving the dog, but they don't realize that there's 300 more of that inventory to go right back where that dog goes. And people aren't thinking about the moms and the dads, the studs and the bitches that have been in the kennel, and Missouri law allows 2 inches in front of a dog's face its whole life. So that mom is just pumping out puppies because of the demand. So by
Oh, so okay. So I didn't even think about that. So then basically the mom is once they have a puppy, then that just becomes almost like a money machine.
Yes, they look at it like a product, like you're
Wow.
manufacturing a product. So these commercial breeders can have hundreds of dogs that are all having litters of puppies and just continue. And they Missouri is known to ship all across the country because there's such fantastic AI websites that look like, oh, it's in a Missouri farm in the Ozarks, and when really it's in a giant barn that you would never wish any animal.
Ah, really?
Yes.
Really? I would, yes, I can understand that, but I guess I would just never thought that. And
Yeah.
that's me being, me
And
being
that's part
naive.
of our rescue is so many people don't know. And so instead of when you see all these just messages, don't shop, adopt, and all this stuff, but giving people the background of why it's so important and what we're advocating on and how it can make a difference. Because if we don't start from the root of the problem, it's never going to end. So we really try to use our platform. I love when we do Girl Scout tours and I'm teaching all these girls that are the up and
They love it, I bet. They love it, I bet, don't they?
yeah, and I say, "What is a rescue?" And the answers always are people think rescues are they're abused, there's something wrong with them, and I say, "A rescue is just a dog that a human gave up on. That's all it is." And so that kind of changes their perspective on, "Oh, okay, we don't need to purchase this dog from to keep continuing these dogs that are going to end up. Let's stop."
Sure. And actually that was exactly I always like asking a contrarian question. What would most people misunderstand? Would you say that that's probably the number one thing that most people misunderstand about it, or even the work itself?
I do. I think that people misunderstand the difference between a shelter and a rescue and what a and what a rescue dog actually is.
Explain that. Explain that, please.
So a shelter is an open intake, meaning they're usually the animal control. They are getting the strays off the street. Anybody who finds a dog or wants to surrender their dog has to bring it there. So they really have a tough job, and you see them getting slammed all the time. But honestly, it's just because if they have 300 cages and the neighbor wants to get rid of the husky that was chewing on the wall, it just probably ended the life of another dog that was at that end of that line. They don't realize that, oh, the shelter will take care of it. And rescues like ours, rescues, we don't do any intakes or stray holds or street dogs. We usually go to those shelters and listen to the shelter workers, and they say, please take this one. This dog is great and it's coming to the end of the line. Or please take this one. It's right
Oh,
down here. So
I
we
gotcha. So it's actually, so I didn't know that there's like the shelter's almost like the middle person, and then the people at the that they're working there, they're gonna know intimately, saying
yeah,
that, okay, Duke the dog is about probably at the end of his line. Would you please rescue him before
yes,
he is potentially,
yeah.
put to sleep?
And so we get emails from shelters across the country because they the- it takes a mental toll on animal shelter workers because yes, they're providing shelter, they're safe, but for how long? And they a lot of these government laws they don't have the if your township is just there's keeps being strays, there keeps being unwanted litters, all these things, it's just they have no choice but to make hard choices, so then they plead with rescues to please take some of their dogs.
So really, I know you talked about wanting to completely rethink of what a rescue is. What do you would say? I think in threes. What would you say the top 3 things of your rescue that you want to change of what kind of a normal rescue is?
So we do things a little different and have a great success rate of
I was
adoption.
about to say, it's like, I think you have a pretty good track
Yeah.
record there,
So
ma'am.
how we do things is people come in and we call it a little bit of a speed dating. So when you come to our rescue, you don't get to walk through all the cages because, to be honest, most of the dogs, they're not going to show their true self in a cage. They're pleading. There's somebody new. They can come across high energy. They can, so it's not reflecting that true animal that's in a cage. So we try to pair up potential adopters. Do you have children? What's your lifestyle? Don't get a dog if you if that you want to run with if you don't run. You should never adopt
Oh,
a
okay. I was
dog.
about to say, I was like, I love running with Duke. I was like, I shouldn't do that.
But how many people you know at New Year's say, I'm gonna run this year. Every year I'm gonna go to the gym. If you adopt a dog like that, you're gonna be set up for failure. So
Yes.
by picking the right, so we have them fill out a questionnaire, and then if we have dogs that match that questionnaire, we will say this one is kid friendly, this one is okay if you're working from home, he's not going to bark, this one, if you
Oh,
want to go run or active. So by pairing up personalities goes way more than just coming in and saying I've always wanted a golden retriever. We might have one, they're typical derpy, happy, family loving dogs. But that golden retriever that you want, we might have got to know him and he doesn't like dogs. He doesn't like cats. He doesn't like kids. He wants to be with a single lady or single man. So, and by having, so a government shelter, you can go in, there is an adoption process, but pretty much you can adopt that day or next day. Our process, after they do the questionnaire, we have them meet everybody in the family has to come. So there's no, we're going to surprise the kids. We're going to surprise grandma who lives with us. Everybody's coming several times to meet, to interact this dog. You're going to take the dog on a walk. You are going to do a training session with one of our trainers. And so, and then we talk about what the first 3 days looks like, the first 3 weeks, the first 3 months. It takes that long for a routine to get into. So we have high expectations for it's because it's about, yes, we want to get as many dogs in a home, but if we take our time and do it thoughtfully and with a process, then it keeps those dogs in a home and it really allows us to open the doors open for more.
this guy, I can't, I have no idea why you were successful. Zero. There's no framework. There's no standard operating procedure. There's no processes. Jeez, this is, I can imagine, I can only imagine. And if you do have a story to share, I'd love to hear it about maybe a family that comes in and you get that one face, especially if you have an like a in-law or a parent coming in. I'm not saying you do, but I can only imagine 5 people coming in to see the dog. 4 are super excited and one's just, oh, I'm gonna have dog hair on my clothes.
It's usually the dad.
Is it? Is it really?
The dad, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's a, yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
usually
speaking of that, he's probably thinking of, and again, I'm not being sexist here, but he's probably thinking about how much is this going to cost us? What are we going to have to do? So you mentioned that it's $1,000 up front just to make sure that spay, neutered, those type of things. What is a lifetime cost of a dog, do you think?
it depends. So if you have a Frenchie, you might as well just have a no limit credit card because they're
Oh, really? A Frenchie? Is it a French bulldog?
yeah, a French bulldog, just because they're known, they're predisposed to so many health issues. It I don't know. It really we tell people too, there's that goes back to kind of some people say I only want to adopt a puppy because I can't go through the heartache. They won't look at the gray faced dogs. And we say, just like us, dogs are not promised tomorrow. We've had puppies that medically no one could have known they have some.
That's a great perspective. I would have thought that. That's a
Yeah.
great
So
perspective.
going into open heart rescuing a dog at any age, they're all eventually going to give us heartache, but they're going to give us so much joy in between. So that's the biggest thing I can tell people is don't shy away from the older ones. I personally have brought home a couple hospice dogs and they end up living 5 years.
I
So
was about to say, yeah, because they're like, oh my, yeah, because it's
you
loving
don't,
environment and
yeah.
yeah, that's fun. But so I guess for my statistical brain, if I was to get on average, if I was to rescue a puppy, what do you think that that would be on average? Just to say, I'll just give you a breed so you know. A golden retriever.
There's so many resources. I would say so by adopting from a rescue or shelter, you're already going to come out ahead on your investment because all those dogs are spayed, neutered, vaccinated, heartworm test, chipped, all those things that maybe if you had purchased a puppy would cost you about $3,000. So by
Okay.
having an option fee, you have all those things. I suggest everybody do training and not Google training, not online training, one-on-one training with a trainer in a facility so the trainer is teaching you and the dog at the same time because if a trainer just trains a dog, it has to that dog will read you quicker than a latest
Yeah.
magazine. They have to know that you know what you're talking about. So training classes, and then again with food, there's so many resources though for food too. When people say, I'm coming on hard times and I just can't afford the dog food, there's tons of community food pantries and resources that we'll put in place to help that. We never want money to be a cause and issue or to be a surrender for dogs. So there's tons of resources here in St. Louis too that will do low cost spay neuter. Pretty much if anyone says I want to get my dog spayed and you put that on a rescue page, somebody is going to network and help you. There's lots of low cost
Good.
solutions too.
Yeah. That's great. And one other note that I put down there was when I heard you explain pair, really you're matchmaking. You're matchmaking.
Yes.
You're like a
Yes.
super great matchmaker.
Super great. I'm super great matchmaker.
Yeah.
This just happened recently. We have a German Shepherd, and of course, family comes in. He's a great dog. They had little kids. He is kid
What's his
approved.
name?
His name's Bo, and the
I love hearing the names. So I got to
and
get like a picture. Bo, the German Shepherd,
Bo,
is
the
just.
big black German Shepherd. He
Oh,
is
okay.
just a big guy, and so the dad was like, "Yes, I want this German Shepherd.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
awesome." And just by listening through conversations, they want the kids to take the dog on a walk. We talked through Bo is a really strong, powerful dog. We don't want a child at a young age to say, we had this rescue dog and it pulled me down. It went after a dog. It was anything. And they came to realize he was not going to be the best fit for their family and actually went with Kirby, who was a much better fit. And they went by personality and home needs. Life's going to happen. They've got sports and all that. And Kirby's going to be fine waiting for his dinner when they get home, where Bo would have been like, I'm going to break down this door.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And you're like, this dog is clawing at my door. Yeah. It wants to play and get out and it's okay to have a little bit of fun chaos. So Jessica, you're so phenomenal. Like there's just no doubt. I stole from you. We have a very tight onboarding process as we're helping people with their financial lives and fitness lives to some extent. But I love the 3-3-3 framework. What's the first 3 days look like? What do the first 3 weeks look like? And what do the first 3 months look like? So I'm just letting you know I'm stealing that from you.
Yeah.
So as we kind of get to the kind of the last third of this, what if they were to come into the non-for-profit or Yuppy Puppy, what would you want anybody coming in there to walk away from not only feeling but understanding about not only about your brand but about what they can expect by working with you, your husband, your family, and then ultimately all the workers?
Pretty much just that the feeling that when you walk into Yuppie Puppy, it's set up very much like a human hotel in mind, because when people are dropping off their furry family members, it's about them too. They want to have a feeling of, yes, it looks gorgeous, but the energy, the professionalism, everything there is done for a reason, from the height of things to the lighting color to the paint color. It's all with inviting dogs to have a better experience all around.
It
And
sounds very intentional.
it's very, everything is very intentional, and because dogs are very intentional. They're very, it's, there's no gray, and the more you can keep things black and white, that's how dogs thrive. They like routine, they like structure, comfortability, non-threatening, just at ease.
Yeah. And yeah, just like children, they love structure as much as we think they're breaking out of it. They love structure. And I like the verbiage you use, your furry family member that you're dropping off, right? It's probably going to be a little bit disheartening when you drop off the furry family member and it's more excited to get out of the car because they get to see Jessica and all the wonderful employees there because they know what hotel they're going into. I always leave with this, and thank you so much for your expertise and your time. And but first, before we get to the last question, how with your new non for profit, how can we have a Give Back Foundation, our own non for profit? What can people do that when they listen to this? How can they help what your cause is, and then ultimately, how could we help too?
I would say with what, you know, with the rescue community, it takes a village. So definitely connections, grant writers, definitely
I have a few really great grant writers in Oklahoma. They do every state in the United States.
perfect.
So,
Grant,
and if anybody else listening to this as a non for profit, they're phenomenal, phenomenal.
and just we're excited to, we're in the beginning stages of taking it to the next level of purchasing land, help other like-minded people who want to help us continue our mission, funding for vet care, all those things. There's just such a need, and then really by adding the advocacy to it, because again, it's we're trying to get to, if we can keep dogs in homes by resources,
Mm.
that's the best option. If stop all the, my dog's doing this, if people can pause, and teaching people not to give up. And sometimes when the going gets tough, maybe you just need some training or a daycare, but it's by, when dogs get adopted, it should be forever, not just for a season. And life is going to happen, and helping adopters kind of go through those seasons in life. When you have to go on vacation, there's a new baby, a new home, the dog is going through that too, and helping them speak that language.
And it seems like you really help the potential rescue owner what that process is going to feel like. So it kind of sets them up for success to be like, hey, this isn't, I don't want to say not all sunshine and rainbows because they should expect it. However, you don't allow anything to be left unsaid.
Because no matter, so whenever you take a dog from any new environment into a new there are going to be changes, and they're absorbing everything from the sight, sounds, and smells. So maybe a dog that never used to bark is now barking, and by really having that conversation, where are they, what time did you feed them, what, all these little things, it's usually some small tweak that they didn't realize that they were doing, and then they change that, and they're like, that's what it was. So by really helping them understand that.
I love that. I love that. And actually, I'm going to pivot for my last question. Usually it's similar, but it struck me because you talked about the 14-year-old Jessica, right? You walked in and you start bathing the dogs and it brings me back to my first job. Not as glamorous as bathing dogs, and I won't go into that, but so with that experience of maybe 3 decades, what I would love what would you tell as I could tell you're spiritual, you're very grounded, you're in the present, right? It's all only thing we can control is what we're going to do next, right? Do the next right thing. How proud do you think 14-year-old Jessica would be? Right.
Yeah.
And then take that same time frame, and again, I'm not giving away age, add those amount of years to that next version of Jessica, and what do you think that version of Jessica would tell this version of Jessica today?
So what would my younger self tell my
Yep. So
older?
you got to tell like how, yeah, say how, first of all, I want you to, sometimes you got to give yourself some grace. Yes. How proud do you think 14-year-old Jessica would be of you today? Because sometimes you just got to celebrate some wins. And then now, what do you think that your future self would tell you today about who you need to become or the next version of you to have that same level of not only success but fulfillment?
I think my 14-year-old version would be so proud
That's so
and
great.
so proud, and that we knew it. I think my 14-year-old self would be like, "See, you should have just followed your passion, your passion." But my and yeah, just look all the things that I've accomplished from just everything, like everything in life, the business and not the business and the nonprofit. I think I also had that failure is not an option thing. So I knew I was going to be successful. I could envision it. I seen it, but I think, yeah, she would be very proud. My self now to tell my 14-year-old self would say, you're going to have hard days. You're going to have good days. Just keep on going. And that's okay. Everything that I did up until now was all for a reason. It is all connected. It all synchronized. It was all part of the plan. Some of the things that I look back, I'm like, holy cow, that from 5 years ago has affected this. And
Yes,
it's just so amazing how it's all tied together.
it is. And I know I gave you a lot there. Now, what I always tell myself this: how could I make my future 85 or 90-year-old self mad at me? Right? How could I piss him off? It's not doing the next right thing. That's how I can make him mad, right? So what do what do you think that your, again, I'm this not giving away ages here, 75, 80, 85, 90-year-old self of Jessica would tell 47-year-old Jessica today when you go before you probably even break land, right?
So I'm 87 talking to my 47-year-old
Yes,
self.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think first of all, I'd say I'm tired. But I believe that it, I wake up every day, keep doing the work. At 85, I would say good job. How many lives have I changed that I don't even know that I changed? How I
Yes.
made a difference and an impact I had. Because if that's what I say when I talk to a young classroom, if I could plant a seed in one child's memory that makes a difference for the future, then job well done.
I love it. I love it. And that's you it's because and this it's sometimes hard to hear, right? And I love about celebrating especially women in this realm because you carry such I don't want to say burden as much as it's such a heavy responsibility raising a family and again with businesses and now the impact that just has ripple effects across generations because everybody's going to remember the Bo and the Kirby, right? And the Bella,
Yeah.
right? And of course me, Duke and Bentley and Finn. So you're doing God's work for sure. Before we let you go here, and you've just been so wonderful and gracious, and I always tell people you can't fake this. You smile with your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's a natural thing to do. And I can see why it's so successful and so warming and inviting. Where can people find you? Where can people find the not-for-profit? Those types of things. Any of the audience that listens that we can help support your cause.
Yeah. Yuppy Puppies Forever is the nonprofit. We're
That's
on
what it is. Yuppie Puppies Forever.
Puppies Forever is the nonprofit. Yuppypuppyspa.com is the website, and I'm on LinkedIn as Jessica Cooke.
All right, Jessica. You are a godsend to that area of Missouri and throughout the nation, and hopefully I get to travel to Canada in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully this message carries to Canada and then people who have a heart for dogs and giving back. So hopefully that permeates throughout North America, at least over the next couple of weeks for you.
I
So
appreciate it. Thank you
God
very much.
bless you. Thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, remember Jessica's message. Don't give up. Grit. Again, anything in life. What are the next 3 days? What are the next 3 weeks? And then really the 3 months. You'd be amazed at what changes you can make. So God bless, give back. And Jessica, thank you so much for being a guest on The Pursuit.
Thanks for having me.
Remember, whatever you're pursuing, you don't have to have it all figured out. Just start. Take one action step, have one conversation, and trust that what you need is already within you. This is The Pursuit.